Well, hey guys, this is my dad's 1999 Toyota Land Cruiser, and I will kind of walk you around this vehicle, show you what it's like. We've had this vehicle for, gosh, I don't know, 20 years maybe more than 20 years, almost as long as I've been alive. Had this vehicle, so it's been in the family. My dad drove it for probably 10 or 11 years, maybe a little bit more, and then my brother, he gave it to my brother, and then my brother drove it for another like 9 or 10 years, and then they recently got a minivan, so my brother just gave it back to my dad recently, maybe the past few months. So we've just been sorting a few things on it. We don't know if it's going up for sale or not. I'll try and keep you posted on that. Maybe I'll put something in the description or in the comments about something like that. But for now, it's in our hands, and we're kind of just sorting some things out on it. So it has mechanically, it's pretty good, pretty sound, but I mean, there are some things here and there cosmetically. But want to go and take you around it, and then I'll show you the interior, and then we'll take it for a drive. So like I said, 1999 Toyota Land Cruiser. This is the pre-variable valve timing 2UZ. If you know your Land Cruisers, you know your Toyotas. This is an earlier Toyota 2UZ, the 4.7 liter V8. At some point, the rear spoiler was lost. I don't know what happened to it. It still has the towage receiver though. I think this tows up to 6,500 pounds. So it's just got some cosmetic things here and there because of age, and it's been through some storms and stuff. You'll notice on like the top, it's kind of oxidized and that kind of thing with a clear coat. Same with the hood. Runs really well though. You know, it's a typical Toyota of this era, just really well put together. I'll show you the back. So in the back, seated in my driving position, got 3 rows. I'll show you the 3rd row as well. I got plenty of leg room, about half a foot seated in my driving position behind myself. Got a armrest there. These cup holders, I don't know what the deal is, but it's stuck. Probably just pry something and fix that. These are a bit worn out too, I mean, just because of age and a bunch of children being there. But 3 seats across there, and then if I go here, let's see, where is it? It's right here. We got our 3rd row, and this is a little bit of a pain in the butt to get into on this side. I think you have to get on the other side. Let's see. Okay, so this folds up, and then you can hop in here. Lift this up. So, don't know what that is. And then you put this back. And I believe it's this one. So it is a 3rd row. It does have 3 rows of seats, but as you can see, my feet, I mean, my knees are in the they're in the row right here. It does have climate control for a 3rd row. I believe there's actually 2 air conditioners in here. Not 1, but 2 air conditioners in here. You can control the air via this right here for the 3rd row. But you know, it's a back seat. It's really only made for children though. So yeah, not the easiest thing to get in and out of, but there is that 3rd row there. I'll show you the back. So with the 3rd rows up, there's a little bit of space. You got your tailgate there. It's a split design, kind of like what the Range Rovers were doing as well. But with this third row, you're just not going to have a whole lot of space. Got some golf clubs and some seats there. I'm actually going to put this back down. When it folds flat, I mean, you've got a decent amount of space. These can tie up to the side, but then you lose a little bit of visibility there. But yeah, and you got a couple cup holders for the third row as well. Like I said, not the easiest thing to get in and out of, but I do like having the tailgate right there. Not a lot of vehicles have that. I mean, some of the BMWs have that, but yeah. I'll show you the front seats. Actually, let's show you the engine first. So this is Toyota's 4.7 liter V8 2UZ, 235 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque. Pretty variable valve timing, so a little bit less power and torque, but I do really like the way this looks. Here on the interior, we've actually got quite a good amount of more kind of, I guess, what you would call modern stuff. We actually have auto up and down windows. We have our control for our mirrors, so they are power mirrors. We can control our rear vents left and right because they actually will swivel and move. Based on that, we have a moonroof, which I believe is completely functional. It should be completely functional. Yep. There's your tilt and there's your slide. It slides all the way out. Really nice. So that's really cool. We got a CD player, radio, auto climate, which is really nice. You can turn on and off your rear air. You got your four-wheel drive, your high, neutral, and low. Right now we're just in 2 high. We have our heated seats. We have a low and high setting for our heated seats. Dual cup holders. This actually comes out if you want to put like a mug in there. We've got kind of like a coin holder or an ashtray there. We got 2 12 volts. This one doesn't have the plug on it anymore, but that one does. Our hazards. We got our four-wheel drive. We do also have auto lights. So I don't know if you could see that. And then we have our wipers on this side. Turn signal stock, typical turn signal stock from Toyota. And then we got the cruise control stock, which Toyota still uses to this day. It's a great design. Here's our center console. We got a top tray here, and then we get another bottom tray with a 12 volt socket. Decent amount of space. It's not as big as like what a modern truck would have or something like that. Glove box is a decent size. But yeah, it has some more modern stuff on it. This is a 4-speed automatic because it's an earlier one. But let's go ahead and take it for a drive. We do have a power button and a second button. So power button is kind of like a tow haul mode, except it doesn't downshift for you. So it just holds gears a little bit longer when like you're towing or something like that. Second button will start you off in second gear. So like if you're off-roading and you're like in a low four-wheel drive and you need that second gear because you don't want as much torque to the wheels, you'd put in second, so then it starts off in second instead of first gear. We do have an overdrive off button because we have low 2, and then overdrive off will be your 3, and then drive is with overdrive on, that's your 4th gear. So you can kind of control it there and work with it. You got your audio controls, all of that. So let's go ahead and take it for a drive. Yeah, one of the first things you'll notice is just that low end torque that you get from this engine. This is one of probably my favorite engines I have driven. My first car, if you didn't know, was a 4Runner, a 2005 4Runner with the variable valve timing version of this engine. So it made a little bit more power and torque, and it had the 5-speed. But this thing is still, you know, it makes good low end torque. You know, it doesn't feel like it's lacking in torque. So many, like, in so many cases with like these overhead cam V8s, they really have to be revved out to get the torque out of them. That is not the case here. This really does pull along nicely and really easily. I believe the gearing out back is a 411 final drive ratio, so it's a quite aggressive final drive, and I think that really does help it out. Brakes they're typical like Toyota body on frame SUV brakes from this era. Not super confidence inspiring. You do have to use quite a bit of brake pressure to get brakes out of it. But it's quite a nice place to be. I mean, it's held together pretty well. There are some rattles here and there, but that's kind of what you expect for such an old vehicle. It's a 99, it's got 250,000 miles on it. So that just comes with old age and old mileage and lots of miles, but mostly age. That's kind of the main thing that you got to look out for on these. Being aggressive gear wise and not having very good aerodynamics, this thing is not going to be very efficient. Do not expect anywhere near the efficiency of a modern vehicle, maybe even a Land Cruiser that came after this. You'll probably be getting 13 miles per gallon max, and you might hover around 11 or 12 normally. So really not a efficient vehicle. But really just that torque of that engine just pulls you along really nicely. Really do have to give it some brake pressure. Sounds pretty good. Pulls healthily all the way to red line, 5,000 RPM. It really comes on cam at like 3.5. Really just pulls nicely all the way to 5,000. But really it's that low end torque that you want. I mean, we're cruising right now below 2,000 RPM, and it's got plenty of torque where it doesn't have to downshift gears if it needs to. Doesn't really need to. Steering feel is well, it actually has steering feel. That's the the big thing. It has some steering feel. This wheel cover does take away a bit of the steering feel from this vehicle, but you know, it's an old hydraulic rack. It is a very slow ratio rack. This is not a quick ratio at all. Very slow ratio. A lot of turns lock to lock. So you're not going to be driving this, well, you're not going to be driving this in a sporty fashion anyways, because it's a big, heavy body on frame SUV. But yeah, just driving behind this Buick, you know, it's pretty easy. The torque just pulls you along. One of the other things I really like about this vehicle, and it kind of just pertains to this era of vehicle, is the visibility. This has fantastic visibility. So much glass around you. You can see out the back really well. You can see out the mirrors really well, but all the glass around you is just excellent compared to a modern car. Really easy to see out of, and really easy to drive too. This is a very easy vehicle to drive. The steering is more on the kind of lighter, just lazier side, I guess, and that's kind of the whole experience of this vehicle. It's more of a comfort, kind of luxury experience rather than a hard-edged like off-roader. It's not, you know, it's not going to ride as good as maybe a modern body on frame SUV that's similar category, but it's certainly going to perform better than you know, maybe some other vehicles that are not necessarily designed for kind of just this more luxury focused experience. But this is a luxury off-roader. That's what this is. And I know there are people out there who wish that Toyota had made like a Jeep Wrangler style or Bronco style off-roader, and maybe that is coming back, but this is a pretty great, you know, just cruiser. And that's, I think, really what Toyota was aiming for with this 100 series. It's just a great cruising vehicle, and it rides pretty well. If you sit in the back, you can definitely feel that solid rear axle, but in the front, with the independent front suspension, this actually rides really well. I think the tires really soak up a lot of the bumps very well. Let's put in power mode, and we'll do an acceleration. So yeah, like I said, this doesn't downshift for you in power mode. It's simply just to hold gears a little bit longer. It's not a tow haul mode. Handling is, it's a body on frame SUV from the 90s. But as you can see, in power mode, it's holding the gear. Shifts a lot later. Really keeps you in that power band a little bit more. Keeps you in that torque band. We're up to speed now. We're doing a little over 2,000, like 2,100, 2,200. So this is a giant brick in the wind. So like I said, don't expect good efficiency. You can hear all that wind outside too. This does probably need some new tie rod ends and some new bushings soon. Kind of feel that in the steering. It's a little bit slower to react and a little bit more all over the place. Take it out of power mode. And then if you want to turn overdrive off, you just press the button there. So now we're in third gear. And in third gear, we're doing just under 3,000 RPM. That's a little bit over 50. Let's go over 60. Yeah, so we're almost at 3,000 RPM at 60 miles an hour if you're in third gear. Then you put it back into overdrive, it's a little over 2,000 RPM. Yeah, the wind does blow you around quite a bit on a bigger, taller vehicle like this. But you're not buying this for necessarily for like handling or for the best performance ever. You're buying this because it lasts. You're buying this because it's a great off-roader, because it's a good like luxury experience. It's comfortable, it's easy to drive, and you can haul a bunch of people, you can haul a bunch of stuff. Yeah, just put my foot into it, and you got that low end torque. No need to downshift. You know, even below 2,000 RPM, there's plenty of torque. You just pull along smoothly and nicely. And when you're not on it, this engine is very quiet. This vehicle is also quite quiet in general. Really nice. I can go into this corner. Show you a little bit of the handling here. Yeah, so you would not be going quite as fast as you would in a car. This, you want to take it nice and easy. There's a lot of body roll and there's a lot of weight transfer, so if you get into a corner too hot, you'll feel that weight transfer, you'll feel that body roll, and then you'll get understeer. Yeah, it is a big, heavy SUV. Don't, you know, underestimate how this vehicle will move around, because it is a top heavy vehicle. So don't expect it to handle like a modern, even a modern like body on frame SUV, I think would handle better than this. Turn power mode back off. Let's go on my bumpy section of road. Show you what it's like. This has one of my favorite turn signals. Turn signal stocks. Really nice, like just ka-thunk into, and then turn signal stock. It's exactly what my 4Runner had as well. It was just really nice. Yeah, on this bumpier section of road, I mean, it handles it pretty well. We are driving behind someone going 15 under the speed limit though, but you can hear a lot of the rattling going around and that kind of thing, but it handles this really well. It's not too it's not too plush or too like boaty feeling, because with like a boaty or like super cushy ride, it can be a bit too much and it can make you car sick. This doesn't feel that way. This feels stiff enough when it needs to be, but then it still rides smooth enough. And I think a lot of that has to do with the sidewall and the tires. I think these, you know, in the 90s, these older vehicles, they just had a lot more sidewall on the tires, and so that really just helps soak up the bumps a lot better. Even if the suspension might be on the more stiff side, that those tires really just help smooth out the ride. There's something sliding. Sounds so good. I do miss daily driving a V8 with the 4Runner. That one revved to 5,700. This one's only 5,000. And that one had like even more of kind of like an on-cam feel to it because of the variable valve timing. So when you got it up into the revs, that variable valve timing really kicked in. Here it's a bit more subdued. Yeah, see, it handled that bump really well. Yeah, getting up to speed is no issue at all. Smooth and easy. As we go back on this road and we turn back into the parking lot. Feel that body roll. Let's sum up my thoughts on the 99 Land Cruiser. It's a well put together, you know, it's a reliable vehicle. Like, this era of Toyotas is just really well built. They last a long time. This 4.7, I mean, there's stories of people with 1 million miles on on their Tundras with 4.7s on them. So really reliable, good engine. This engine makes plenty of torque down low. The gearing is actually pretty good. It is a 4-speed, but it's, I think, geared correctly for this vehicle. And I think part of that has to do with the final drive, those 411s in the back that really just keep the gears closely spaced. Ride's really good too. And so I guess the next thing is what would you replace, you know, something like this with, you know? Pretty reliable, well built, long lasting. Wow, I parked really bad. It's probably one of my favorite generations of Land Cruiser. I know a lot of people like the they like having the inline 6, or they want the FJ40s, you know, the Jeep-esque ones. But I think the 100 series is a good buy. Just make sure you do your research on, you know, make sure you replace belts and hoses. They are older vehicles now. This is a 99, so this is only like the 2nd year of this vehicle. Really like the design. It's a lot more kind of boxy. The next one after this, the 200 series, went a lot more curved. I prefer this more. But anyways, I want to thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. And I will post below if this is available. We don't know if we're selling it yet, but I'll try and post a listing for it if we are selling it. So thank you for watching. I'll see you later.